Hi, I'm Nicole Pecoraro, and this is The Alt Starting Point. How can incorporating alternatives into client portfolios benefit your practice? Alternatives can play a significant role in enhancing and growing your practice. Today's investors have high expectations for their advisors' expertise in this space. And according to our research, the vast majority of advisors say that their new and prospective clients expect them to have a robust alternative offering. Beyond meeting client demand for a comprehensive alts offering, we believe there are also many tangible benefits of building your alts expertise, including smoother revenue volatility, increased client satisfaction, increased client retention, improved returns, and differentiation from competitors. Advisors also share that they believe being an alt expert will be a meaningful driver in growing their book of business. Finally, at a high level, incorporating alternatives into your practice can enhance your conversations with clients about overall portfolio construction. It can also help you add more value to your client base and prospects. Why is it valuable to have proactive conversations about alternative investments with your clients? It's surprising and encouraging just how much clients want their advisor to discuss alternatives with them. Investors tell us they're ready to learn more about alternatives, and 85% of alts users and 70% of non-users would either begin investing or expand their current alts allocation if their advisor recommended doing so, showing the important role you play in spurring alts investment. From our survey, we also know that 41% of investors have moved or considered moving advisors to access better alternative opportunities. This is a critical point as it reinforces to advisors how important it is to stay ahead of the curve on alternatives and continue to build upon your alts expertise. If your clients don't feel well served when it comes to alternative investing opportunities, they will seek out a new advisor relationship. All in all, investors are clearly ready for the alts conversation, but they want their advisor to be proactive and chart the course forward for them, keeping their goals in mind. What are common client misconceptions about alternative investments, and how can you most effectively address them? The vast majority of high net worth investors are strong candidates for alternatives, given their long-term focus and diversification needs. Interestingly, some hesitation may stem from the fact that many alts users and non-users alike tell us that they aren't sure what is considered an alternative investment. They also acknowledge that they don't know the right questions to ask about alternatives. Our survey work also indicates that alts users cite risk, illiquidity, and return expectations as the biggest factors limiting allocations to alternative investments. We believe education will go a long way in mitigating these concerns. In addition, many investors, including most alts users, think alts are exclusively private market investments. This signals a need for advisors to help investors better understand the full array of alternative investment offerings and what might be right for them. There are also many advisor-focused tools and resources available to help investors visualize and model how alternatives can impact their portfolio. In particular, we have found it helpful to share historical data that shows how enhancing the traditional 60-40 portfolio with alternative asset classes can potentially increase returns while lowering volatility. That piece can be found in our Alts Institute, along with many other resources and materials that can help address common misconceptions about alternatives. What are the primary categories of alternatives and the overall benefits? Alternative investments seek to provide enhanced diversification, growth, income generation, all the while mitigating risk on the downside and helping protect against inflation. The growth of alternatives provides compelling opportunities to discuss how these investments can address your client's particular investing goals. Let's explore the primary subsets of alternatives and how you can implement them. Private credit. Private credit is an increasingly popular diversifier to traditional fixed income. Product innovation has made the asset class more accessible through non-listed BDCs or business development companies. BDCs primarily invest in loans to U.S. middle market companies. These middle market companies are often underserved by traditional banks, yet have strong growth potential, leading to improved creditworthiness and higher returns for lenders. Hedge funds. Hedge funds aim to beat the benchmark in both up and down markets. Hedge funds are actively managed to exploit market inefficiencies using sophisticated strategies like long-short equity, event-driven investing, and arbitrage. You can build a portfolio of individual single-manager hedge funds or opt for a fund of funds. In this case, you're hiring a manager to provide access to hedge funds while managing the selection, monitoring, and adjustments of individual fund managers within the portfolio. Private equity. Take a moment to consider this. 86% of companies with revenues of $100 million or more are privately owned. This means those investors focused solely on public markets could be missing out on significant growth opportunities in our economy. Private equity offers the potential for substantial long-term growth while effectively minimizing the impact of short-term market fluctuations typically found in the public equities. Like hedge funds, you can build an individual portfolio of private equity funds over time. Many advisors prefer private equity fund of funds, products that offer more investor-friendly terms, such as perpetual or evergreen vehicles. Real estate. While many advisors are familiar with publicly traded REITs or real estate mutual funds, many are now turning to private real estate for additional diversification, more stable income generation, and higher return potential. In addition to real estate private funds, there are now many non-listed private real estate options available, and these options can offer U.S. investors several potential tax advantages. Infrastructure. Like real estate, infrastructure has various access points, including private funds, mutual funds, and perpetual funds. We believe including infrastructure in your real asset allocation is valuable, especially with its potential to provide long-term growth with a fairly high degree of reliability, given its essential nature and relatively predictable revenue. Consider this. Over $90 trillion needs to be deployed in the next 15 years globally just to satisfy infrastructure needs. We'd like to stress that aligning yourself with high-quality managers who have displayed consistent track records throughout multiple market cycles is extremely important. Need more information? Resources can be found on our website that dive deeper into these specific asset classes. What should you consider when introducing private market options to your client's portfolio? From our investor survey and client conversations, we know that high net worth investors typically have a long-term focus, a willingness to ride out volatility, and few immediate liquidity needs. This makes them well positioned for alts. Still, it's important to take into consideration the same investing characteristics that you would for traditional investments, namely a client's wealth tier, time horizon, risk tolerance, and investment priorities. Alternative investments offer more nuanced options compared to public markets. Given this and the impact a client's wealth tier and liquidity needs may have on investment choices, your expertise will be critical in helping clients navigate the alternative investment landscape. Addressing these critical touch points in the context of alternatives will open a more comprehensive and engaging conversation with your clients about portfolio construction and how alternatives can help in meeting their goals. It's worth noting that holding a position in an alts manager's stock is different than investing directly into alternatives. Exposure to alternative investments provides distinct potential benefits like lower volatility and diversification. How do you typically approach the construction of a client's alternatives allocation? All clients bring their own distinct priorities and investing goals for their alternatives exposure. And ultimately, alternative allocations should match both your and your client's comfort levels. With that said, we believe that there are a core 4 of alternative asset classes, each available in various structures and carrying specific benefits. In our view, the core 4 include credit, private equity, infrastructure, and real estate. Taken together, these asset classes can help provide a strong mix of potential benefits, namely growth, income, risk reduction, and high return potential. While the core 4 offer a solid foundation, it's critical to work with your clients to then refine the portfolio based on their investing needs and preferred alts allocation. It's also important to consider and discuss how their alternatives exposures fit within their broader investing portfolio. How can alternative investment options be customized to meet your client's specific objectives? This question really gets to the evolution of the alternative investment landscape as alternatives become more accessible to individual investors. Advisors simply can't take a one-size-fits-all approach to alternatives. A portfolio can be customized to meet specific client objectives, but understanding those priorities is the important first step. We suggest reviewing a client's goals, getting a better understanding of their total wealth, and discussing how alternatives fit within their overall portfolio strategy and structure. Looking at specific categories of alternatives, if capital preservation is your client's priority, private infrastructure may be a good fit. With infrastructure's essential nature, long-term contracts, and real asset value, private infrastructure can help offset the volatility of public markets, hedge against inflation, and aim to offer steadier and more reliable returns. For clients focused on growth, private equity seeks to offer high return opportunities and long-term growth. If income generation is the goal, private credit could be the ideal solution, as private credit aims to generate income through stable, reliable returns. For diversification, real estate private market investments can help provide exposure to assets with low correlation to public markets, diverse property types, and specific geographic locations. Of course, many alternative investments are designed to offer multiple benefits, which is an opportunity to demonstrate to your clients that you're taking a thoughtful, comprehensive approach to creating an alt strategy that works for their unique goals and circumstances. Any tips for making clients more comfortable with investing in alternatives? We know that investors may have hesitations about investing in alternatives, but through our conversations with both advisors and investors, we've uncovered some insights into helping your clients move forward with an alts investment. The majority of high net worth investors say that they trust their advisor to make the right decision about alts, but they still want to understand what they're invested in. This highlights the importance of providing general education to your clients on what alternative strategies they're invested in and why. There are also some specific steps you can take to make clients more comfortable, showing how alternatives fit with clients' personal goals and interests, focusing on overall benefits to the portfolio versus the alts product itself, explaining alt strategies and products in depth, and starting with very small allocations and gradually increasing exposures and complexity. Understanding that education on alternatives is important for advisors and clients alike, where can advisors turn to learn the basics of alternatives? Education is really the key. For you as an advisor, greater education helps build knowledge along with confidence. This leads to clients feeling more informed and open to investing in alts, and also helps to ease their hesitations around alternative investing. For investors, education provides a level of comfort. Our research shows that many investors, including those already invested in alts, don't feel very knowledgeable about alternatives and don't know the right questions to ask. As an investor, taking those first steps to invest in alternatives can feel daunting, but education on alternative offerings and greater insight into how those strategies fit within a broader portfolio can go a long way in helping investors feel more confident. As far as where to turn for education and support, asset managers can be invaluable partners, providing insights into the asset class, alternative options, and allocation strategies. Asset managers can also help you navigate conversations around operational aspects of investing, like the subscription process, fees, tax reporting, and liquidity. There's a wealth of valuable alts content and resources available from firms, alternative managers, and industry groups. As the alts marketplace grows and evolves, staying ahead on trends, as well as educational materials, will help ensure you're putting your clients in the best position to take advantage of the alts opportunity. What factors should you consider when choosing an alternative investment manager? The alternative space is growing rapidly, and the high net worth channel presents a new growth opportunity for many firms, making manager selection even more critical. We believe that aligning yourself with high-quality managers who have displayed consistent track records throughout multiple market cycles is extremely important. Consider partnering with firm specialists who have a long history and deep expertise in alternatives. A manager with a strong history in the asset class and the ability to provide diverse investment strategies is more likely to achieve long-term success and weather market volatility. Alternatives are in Brookfield and Oaktree's DNA. As leaders in the space, we recognize the importance of education and giving advisors the tools they need to add value to conversations with clients and prospects. How has the alternatives landscape evolved, and what advice would you give to advisors new to this space? In many ways, we're at the beginning of a long runway for the growth of alternatives. Driven by greater access, the need for diversification, and an evolving macroeconomic environment, global alternative investments under management are on pace to reach $24.5 trillion by 2028. I've personally been working with alternatives for over a decade, and in that time, I've seen how greater individual investor access to alternatives has created an even broader universe of potential investors and heightened the enthusiasm surrounding the alts marketplace. It's an exciting time, not only because the opportunity ahead is so significant in our view, but because I've seen how alternatives can impact a portfolio and lead to tangible benefits for investors striving to reach their financial goals. For those of you who are new to the alt space, it's important to keep in mind that you have the ability to accelerate alts usage for your clients. They're looking to you to guide them and lead the way in helping them understand, access, and utilize alts. The more you build out your alts expertise, the greater the benefit will be to your clients and your practice.